And Mr. Khan, the reason we're talking to you is that last year you were enlisted by South Yorkshire Police to help tackle the problem in the whole area. And it seems to beggar belief that officialdom in that area couldn't, wouldn't, or did not know how to handle this. What sort of, we can only conclude, a moral, disgusting mess did you actually find?
Well, of course, we're horrified, shocked like everyone else that's read this report. It is very disappointing to hear that so many children over so many years could have been let down in such a drastic way. There are questions to be asked and answers to be found to this. But the really important thing is, and this is where Bernardo's experience over the last 2 decades of working with children who've been sexually exploited comes to the fore. We've learned a great deal. What we mustn't do, though, is lose sight of the victims. You know, whatever the actions that need to be taken and whatever answers people need to find, let's focus on the victims. Let's make sure that we never, ever let this happen again to children who need our support.
Do you agree that the town turned a blind eye to sex abuse?
Well, you know, however you want to describe it, it's unacceptable if the agencies that were involved, and this could be the police, it could be local social services, it could be other agencies, it could be the schools that the children studied at, if they were aware, if they saw the signals and they didn't do anything about it, then that is not acceptable.
Do you think, as is the headline in the Daily Mail today, that these children were betrayed by political correctness?
Well, I don't know the details of that. The important thing here...
You do know. I mean, what was the sensitivities dancing around the Asian or the Pakistani community on this one? People knew that this was going on. Some people turned a blind eye to this. Some people condoned this. Some people openly indulged in this practice. How bad is it, and has the message got across that it will not ever happen again?
Child protection is everybody's responsibility. No one should ever be afraid or of any political correctness or any other considerations to speak up on behalf of vulnerable children, irrespective of the race, colour or creed of the perpetrators. And if that's what happened, that is not acceptable. You know, and I criticise it just like everyone else has been doing so.
What would you say to the Asian community that knew about this in that area? What would you say to them now?
They have a responsibility, just like everyone else that cares about children and cares about protecting children. They have a duty to speak up.
Should Sean Wright, who's now the police commissioner, and he was responsible for children's services during much of this time, should he go, should he bear responsibility or some of the responsibility for this?
I'm sure Sean Wright is doing some deep thinking about what he did and what he could have done differently, just like many other people will be doing as well. And that's absolutely right. We need to learn the lessons. But the important thing is, apart from the recriminations about all of those actions and what might and might not happen, is that we learn the lessons about how to protect children.
Look, wait a minute. These people were there to protect children. They obviously couldn't do it. They weren't across it. They call in people like you. So what is your recommendation? Are you saying to them, you're not up to the job, you weren't up to the job, and you shouldn't be in charge? You should bear responsibility. You've got to come out. If we've got no one else to turn to, if they can't police this, if they can't look after this, they turn to people like you. You can't sit on the fence on this.
I'm not sitting on the fence. What the report
well, then what should he do?
Says,
should he go?
Well, what the report clearly says is that major mistakes were made.
Should he go?
Children were failed.
So you're sitting on the fence. So if they failed, he should go.
Well, no, children were failed. What the report is saying is that children's services in Rotherham now are better than they have been for a very long time. They are fit for purpose now. That's what really interests me.
Do you not think, Mr. Khan, that you are failing those 1,400 children by not saying someone should stand up and take responsibility for this, and the man who was in charge at the time so far has not done that? Do you not think you're now failing those children?
Bernardo's is working very closely with that council and many other councils across the country.
You're not calling for him to go?
No, what we're trying to do is help those professionals learn the lessons from the past. What we're trying to do is work with the schools, work with the police, work with social services to make sure that they are more aware so they can spot the signs of children who need our support.
So you don't think Mr. Wright is to blame for any of this?
Well, Mr. Wright's got to work that through for himself. You know, whether he could have done something different at that time, that's a matter for him.
You're an expert in the field. You're the man who's there when, you know, when all else fails, they turn to your charity, your organisation, to protect children and protect the innocence of those children. I put it to you, Mr. Khan, if you are not going to do that, no one else is bothered. Are you going to fail them as well?
I don't think Sean Wright is going to make his decision, whatever it's going to be, based on what I say. What we're interested in is looking to the future to make sure that this doesn't happen again, and to bring all of Bernardo's experience to the fore so that people in Rotherham and other councils, this is happening all over the country, it isn't just peculiar to Rotherham, that they learn the lessons from the past, they work with agencies like ours that have the experience. We support over 2,000 children who are sexually exploited every single year. We know what works, we know how to spot those signs, and we know how to put it right. I mean, the real challenge for all of us is to be interested in how we help those children rebuild their lives.
Javed Khan, thank you very much indeed. We'll leave it there. Javed Khan is the charity Bernardo's Chief Executive.